Hello, once again, everybody. I am Dave. This is the D-pad you're watching on Twitch or YouTube or the internet. Who knows? It's the internet. Things get around. It is another Monday night, start of another long week, both for work and life and streaming and all that fun stuff. So let's play some video games about it. We are taking a look tonight at a game called Endzone, A World Apart. I was promised football, and so far it does not look much like it. The options we have here, based off of new game, include tutorial, survival mode, and scenarios. So we're going to jump right into the tutorial because I know as much about this game as you do, or possibly less if you read ahead of the class. So Endzone is actually a post-apocalyptic base building and survival game. And I'm sure they're going to tell us a bit more. So we have a sweet bus.
Just look at this beautiful scenery. It's marvelous, even though it's a bit different from what we had pictured. We were able to secure a few basic resources and are storing them in our bus.
Alright, let's build ourselves a new home with our sweet party bus.
For this kind of scenario, especially since our inventories in the Endzone ran low. Don't forget that if you need additional information, you can look at our survival guide at any time.
Let's do it. So, the building the scene for this one was a little bit difficult. In that, there's not really much screen real estate, because you got this guy here, and then if you select anyone, you got this guy going on here, and then there's a map in the top right, so where the fuck am I supposed to put anything? So what ended up getting covered up is, in the top left here, just the ability to click on the survival guide, a list of our tasks, a little game log, and a little notifications pop up that tells us when horrible things are happening. Yeah, this one little bit, they really do love hammering on that build. So yeah, unfortunately the chat window's a little shrunk and all that fun stuff, but there's only so much I could do with this one. So everything we need to know should be right there. I think the time has come for us to, at last, build ourselves a new home. Okay. Before we can construct buildings at all, we have to assign the profession builder to several settlers so that they can take care of construction contracts. In general, it's your responsibility to decide which tasks are important and how our settlers are supposed to be distributed to attend to them. Is it scrolling, though? I suppose that is a good question. It is just very delayed, it seems. I think it's preset that it's going to be a certain length. Well, that's okay. You'll be able to figure it out, I'm sure. You'll be able to see at least the little build menu for the most part here, but that's what I'm here for, to talk about all of the random shit that we have no idea how it works. So we have to assign people to take care of construction contracts. In general, we have to decide which tasks are important and how our settlers are supposed to be distributed to attend to them. So we also got a little pause menu down here with some speed options. And this is our professions, which you can't see too well, but it just kind of gives a rundown of where everyone is assigned. Yeah, I suppose that's true. I'll get to see how the sausage is made today. Let's see. What's more important for you to see? Probably not even... Probably don't really care much about seeing Joseph over here. But I think I'd rather have just our little task window covered up, and no one really cares about the mini-map in the corner. But you can see a little bit more of the settlers and what's going on. Like I said, there's not really winning with this one, outside of just kind of tucking the chat box in this tiny spot here, but then it doesn't scroll right. So it goes. But he wanted us to assign some settlers to being builders.
All right. Your builders will be ready as soon as construction contracts have been issued. It's time to start focusing on our key and most basic need, water.
Got it.
The first thing we ought to do is to establish a working water supply.
Sounds reasonable.
So we'll move on to our first construction contract.
Stay hydrated.
Place and build a jetty by a lake in the vicinity of your town center.
Now, by town center, I'm assuming you mean bus there, big guy. Let's not get ourselves, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. That's a bus. So build and a jetty. Looks like R rotates. And build that there. How slowly are you guys gonna do this? Alright, terribly, painfully slowly, it seems. That's why we have the speed up. Look at him go. Good job, everybody wearing your masks when they're available. Good job, good job. Like to see it, I like to see it. Damn, you guys are really efficient with those hammers.
The jetty was completed as planned. Now we have a place where we can collect water. There are other possibilities to gather water too, but the jetty is the simplest and most cost-effective method.
Okay. It's like post-apocalyptic Banished with a little bit more to it.
From different sources, like
it's not a bad thing.
Rain collector, or well in the cistern. The cistern should always be in close proximity to a water source, so that our water carriers don't have to walk too far.
Alright. Because they are tired all the time. How about right fucking next to it? It's got some building repair stuff. Cancel. Build this first. And our tasks are also to assign settlers to the profession of being a water carrier. So why don't all y'all get some water? The rest of you can also be builders, I suppose. There's not really much else going on right now. This is the tutorial which we're gonna attempt to fly through and then start ourselves a fresh colony with our own real bad direction. Yeah, let's have them go a little faster here. No one's collecting water yet because there's no place to store it. And they made a giant tarp-covered massive water bucket. Perfect. So now we have to produce 100 water. So by produce 100 water, really what they mean is scoop 100 water out of this lake. I suppose that's production, I guess. Well, apparently they just dump it into this little bucket here. I was hoping they'd kind of go up and throw it into this. Yeah. Get the water.
Great. We have now installed a working water supply.
Okay.
Water is now transported from the jetty to our cistern. Consider hiring more water carriers if you don't have enough settlers available. You can never have
what up, Cluster
enough
Division?
Storage.
Hello, everyone.
Now we should focus on food production. It's important to ensure the supply right
This
from
map's
the
big.
start. gatherer's cabin, a hunting lodge, or a fishing hut can directly remedy the situation. I suggest starting with a fishing
location.
hut, since we're already located near a lake.
Alright. We'll make a fishing hut. Do I get any penalty from putting it right fucking next to where we collect water? Nope. It says 100% efficiency. Ooh, we can even do another one over there when we need to. Build this first. I feel like people probably want houses and shit, but just haven't gotten to that point yet in the tutorial. I like that you can track the pathways of all of them so you can see kind of who's making dumb pathing choices. Assign some fishers. Not really building anything right now. I collected a lot of fish very quickly.
Because they constantly grow as long as the soil is moist.
Okay, crops.
Each seed has different yields and growing times. This means that it could take some time until your field is ready to be harvested, in contrast to your fishing hut, where production can be right away.
Alright, so understood. You want me to make a field. A cultivated one. I said something about, oh yeah, soil moisture. So, wet, moist, dry, and dried out. So wet soil's the best, it looks like. Oh, right around a lake kind of makes sense that it's good soil. And this is a rain cloud or something. Alright, so underneath the bus. Oh, there's a radiation in that. Nope. I feel like that's going to be a constant. Where's the radiation? This one? Oh, we just got a little pocket of radiation here just because fuck you, that's why. Perfect. Above this, of course. That's what I meant the whole time. So then assign them at least one person. And seeds chosen. Black salsify or cabbage? We're gonna go with cabbage. Never mind. We're gonna go with black salsify. It's the only thing we have.
You need the widest variety of food sources to stay healthy. You should also plan ahead for drought periods that might come when it's not going to rain. Stock up on food and adapt your production to avoid bottlenecks. I'll show you a few more strategies later on.
Okay.
At the beginning, we don't have much scrap wood or other resources. We could build a production building, but to obtain resources as fast as possible, it's best that we start gathering right away. Assign a Gather All Resources task. All the settlers who haven't been assigned any profession by you are going to accept these kinds of tasks. In addition, settlers distribute resources within your settlement.
Let's do it. So I need to just, assumedly, gather up some of this stuff. So it told me to go to tasks and then gather scrap. That's a bunch. And gather some wood. The tree just fell over by itself. I was like, oh damn, they're really fast. Oh, we also have children that become adults to be helpful productives. First First 20 minutes of stream, we got an ad bot. It bodes real well. I'm gonna put this on hyperspeed. I like our token is just a flaming barrel. It's perfect. Seems about right. So it just wants me to produce some scrap and wood, I'm sure, to allow me to build the next story building. For anyone just joining us, also, what up, Able Hippie? Yes, it does look a lot like Post-Apocalyptic Banished, which I still submit. Not a bad thing. But we are kind of running through the tutorial very quickly, and then trying a much more open scenario.
Then you don't have to always make efforts by hand that collecting is taking place. Production buildings are not only easier to manage, they are also distinctly more effective than simple tasks.
Okay.
Don't place production buildings too far away from your settlement. You'll be able to change their working area at any time later on.
Okay, that's good to know.
Right on.
Right on
The best
indeed,
thing for us
Arthur.
to do now is to build a forester's lodge to automate our supply of wood and make it more effective at the same time. Foresters are not only able to chop down trees, they reforest areas with trees as well.
Cool. It's not exactly what he said in the subtitle, but, you know, I'll give you that one, Arthur. So resources, he wants a forester. And he said, don't worry about where it is, because we can also change it. So, I mean, sure. Never mind, wait. I feel like I'm going to do that a lot, where I have to look at where the radiation is, and perhaps, you know, not put the building in it if I can help it. Make this first. Scrapyard and a scrap catcher and research. Have a builder, right? Okay. This is very different order than I'd be doing a lot of these things in a regular game, because they also, we don't have houses yet, like...
working area later on to tell your workers where they should get their wood from. And for your information, if you want, you can also tell your forester's lodge that they only ought to attend to reforesting an area in order to create a lush, green forest, which generations to come can use.
Okay.
Very good. Now we ought to take care of collecting scrap. Scrap is one of the most valuable resources because the quantities present are limited, and we can recover other resources from scrap. Unlike the task we just had, the scrap yard allows larger quantities of existing scrap to be dismantled than with ruins or wrecks.
I'm guessing he wants me to do that. Assign ourselves a scrap collector. Oh. Wait, they can get rid of radiation? How did they do that? Oh. Oh. Can make some poor unlucky fucks have to go dig up radiation. Perfect. Y'all want to go ahead and build the scrapyard? Perhaps? Okay. I mean, I assume I can just get rid of these things. Now we have like an actual scrapyard. Again, we're just rather haphazardly rushing through the tutorial. Wants us to produce scrap.
Great.
There we go.
You can change the working area for the scrapyard, too. We can recycle scrap into 4 additional resources: cloth, metal, plastic, and electronics.
Okay.
We'll do that shortly, but for now, we ought
Mumble
to take care
rap.
of your settlers' needs first. Our people want a place to stay.
Yeah, I figured you'd want a place to live. How about some cabins? Well, they build pretty quick when they're on hyperspeed. I did, Jeff. You couldn't hear it? That's what I was talking about the whole time. You must not listen to enough mumble rap there. Or I've already been overtaken by the spirit and now just can't speak correctly.
Besides cabins, you can also provide sturdy
houses and shelters as housing. Sturdy houses withstand sandstorms better. Great sandstorms. And have increased storage capacity to boot. Children living in houses gradually fill up the house's stockpiles. Settlers do not reproduce in a shelter because they lack privacy. Got it. Let's return from our excursion into housing and refocus on scrap. I think... yeah, we need to build a recycler. I've got a little bit more time in which I will stick around for this tutorial before I am going to throw it over and wing it. Oh my god, emergency mail delivery of lean. Of course, of course. Out of all of our random cabins. I do like that they all look a little bit different in terms of Shantytownville. There's some variation in them. Also, what the fuck is black salsify? I mean, I assume that 100% means we should harvest it. Man, it's definitely one of those games where like the slowest speed is very slow. Plant cultivated for its ornamental flower and edible root. Grows wild in many places, one of the most widely known species of the salsify genus. Alright, learn something every day. It's a strange thing, but I'll take it. I don't know why that would be the one seed that they happen to have. So this guy's gonna slam away some cloth for us, basically. Oh, okay. So when you provide electricity to things, you get better working hours. Plant's edible, but the roots and leaves are most palatable. Tastes like grundle is what the Wikipedia article starts with. Having a mild taste with an uncooked. Describe it as like asparagus or oysters. That's why it's called the oyster plant. I don't want to eat asparagus oysters as a plant. That's not an all-in-one flavor I'm after in my life. Make me some goddamn more cloth, please.
You can instruct your recycler to produce.
Wants me to create cloth to turn into protective clothing. Little army of dudes go over to dig it up. Ooh, I like the way the rain it looks like it's in slow motion when you put it on normal. I like the way the rain clouds move, where you can see kind of the actual sweeping over. It's nifty. They do crank through that, though. Like, just hammer it so hard. So, I do like that you have the ability to change where, like, the work area is. They want me to make some neck scarves. Of course. This guy works by just kind of sitting out there.
Into 4 levels: no radiation, low level, medium level, and high level radiation. The radiation changes constantly and is influenced by weather and contaminated rain. Protective clothing helps to protect us against this kind of radiation, but it takes a while before it's produced. And production relies on a steady flow of incoming resources. Try to establish production chains at an early stage and start to stockpile goods so that some are always on hand. The tools we brought along from the Endzone are slowly but surely running out. So now, let's focus on manufacturing new...
Alright, so it wants us to manufacture metal and then create a workshop. Yeah, welcome to the D-pad, where we're playing with tutorials so you don't have to. For now, I'm starting to wear out in this tutorial and it's not letting me go fast enough. I'm here to make terrible decisions and drive a colony into the ground, damn it. Look at him go, scooping up all that terrible root. Oh, it wants me to make another refiner and recycler as well. Okay, of course. What do we not need? Only one guy is in charge of fishing now. Actually, we have a shit ton of scrap. Well, at least people are banging out kids like it's the apocalypse here.
With our lovely new tools, we are now prepared to work effectively.
Tagline for Mondays, at least someone plays the tutorial. Sometimes off stream, but most of the time we try to run through it here so everyone knows what's going
Though
on.
they won't be quite as effective, it's still better than being forced to work with bare hands.
Cool.
Down in the end zone, we had sufficient time and resources.
Build a school. Yeah. Won't someone please think of the children? Community? Yeah. There you go. If you live in these houses, it sucks. You can never miss school ever. It's a little dried out. What do we indoctrinate our kids with? Productivity? How to better handle tools? How to better handle clothing? Or merit badges? I don't know what the fuck badges are. I'm assuming the tutorial's gonna tell us that. We just need them to hurry up and finish this goddamn school. We have 13 children right now in the colony and 15 adults. This is gonna go Lord of the Flies on us real fast. So far, we're working our way through the tutorial, and it looks like it's very similar to a game called Banished, which was kind of a Jonestown era, like settling the new worlds kind of thing. This one, the whole shtick is that we came out of what they call Endzones, which are basically like their fallout bunkers, and the whole world's radiated and awful. So, actually, except right now, there's not very much. But this is the tutorial, so it has not yet done much. But there's also, it seems like, oh yeah, we need to actually have a teacher, huh? No one cares about fish, right? No one likes eating?
Perfect. Besides the fact that educated children work more effectively, we'll also teach them to be more careful with their protective
Go to school,
clothing.
how to learn how to not fuck up your gas mask.
Leads to them staying intact longer, and we conserve valuable resources.
Got it.
Now that our population is starting to grow, we ought to again turn our attention to the topic of food production. We are already accumulating fish and tilling up.
Alright, gatherer's cabin. Get ourselves some mushrooms and berries. Back to resources. By resources, I meant back to food. Oh. Well, we just slap that there. We can change where the work area is. We're being a little bit quick with our placement in terms of buildings because this is the tutorial. What kind of berries and shit are you gonna get us? Berries and mushrooms, I imagine. It's just what we want. Within a week of getting out of the post-apocalyptic fallout shelter bunker, and yeah, let's eat these random mushrooms. Nothing in the books told us that these would be bad. Yeah, I wanna be a... Oh, cool, we did get more settlers. You actually can be a gatherer, thank you. We still have a bajillion scrap. but not really any radiation protection. Also, like, very little cloth and metal. We have 14 children. Let's give our other teacher some help.
As you can see, the gatherer's cabin is an effective possibility to get food quickly. But watch out. After a drought, it's going to take some time before the plants have regrown. As is the case with most buildings, here too, you can relocate the working area at any time.
Great.
Although we are sufficiently supplied at the moment, our survival depends on diligent planning. If we can lay out a plan for an...
Want me to build an orchard. Yeah. So, orchard. Somewhere where the soil is decent. So I guess down here. Yeah, so it's got radiation to consider, which, like, in the tutorial there's not much. I assume that's going to be way worse everywhere. Soil moisture, which kind of changes with the seasons and droughts and the like. How attractive the locations are. Like, these right here are unattractive because they're scrapyards and recyclers and such. Electricity seems to be a whole thing that we do not have yet. And there's just an overview for if anything's beat up. Yeah, we're gonna need someone to actually work on this thing, assumably. Plums.
The orchard has been laid out, and the trees are already beginning to grow.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about aesthetics. Just how quickly can we get the radiation-proof clothing, please?
They can be harvested again and again until they have to be newly planted.
Cool.
Our gatherer's cabin gathers food from the surrounding forests. However,
guys, we're gonna have plum trees in 11 years from now. Cool! That radiation says we last 11 days.
The herbs gathered there can be consumed by settlers to replenish their health.
Alright, herbal hut. We'll place the witch's hut over here. And we'll set its gathering area to back here. Why not? Yeah, one of the scenarios. So there's kind of the tutorial that we're doing. There is kind of the base sandbox game, and then there is also the option to do a bunch of different scenarios. And the scenarios themselves are kind of all sorts of different things. One of which is like, we have to get this place looking so pretty that everyone's jealous and wants to come live here. And I'm like, okay, I guess.
We can equally utilize the gathered herbs to convert them into medicine later on. It might happen that an illness breaks out in our settlement from time to time and spreads among our settlers.
Okay.
That's why we always ought to have enough herbs on hand.
It's important to always have enough herbs on hand.
Reason why the health status of our settlement can decrease.
Yeah, I'm sorry we don't have any Starbucks yet.
Protective
Jeez.
clothing to shield themselves against environmental radiation. It might occur that our sources of water become contaminated. We should start to filter our water to prevent this from happening. We will need a great deal of charcoal to accomplish this. The charcoal kiln will burn wood to produce charcoal.
Understood. So we need to make ourselves a charcoal kiln. Start our second row of garbage-looking industry over here. What do you do in the post-apocalypse? I'm a charcoal burner. I burn shit and I turn it into charcoal. I don't know, we got a whole bunch of people right now. It's more like cooking it into charcoal, I suppose. Guessing the bus is just our storage. Yeah. Just put it in the bus. Oh, the bus wreck. If we could just upgrade to better and better buses, like I really hope that the resources when you upgrade them is just like we fancied up the bus. Alright, now make me some. I'm assuming with wood? Yeah. 0.1 seasons. Yeah, we're already on season 11 here. So I don't know how long it actually takes. $200 medication, apparently.
Great. We can use the charcoal in conjunction with a filtration system to purify our water. Unfortunately, our cistern is not able to do this. Only the water tower has the necessary equipment for this capability.
Got it.
It would be a disgrace if we had to demolish our trusted cistern just to erect a water tower in its place.
Oh.
What we ought to do instead is upgrade the cistern itself. A water tower can store much more water and provides workplaces for a lot more water carriers than our old cistern.
Oh, nifty, okay. So we can essentially schedule there to be an upgrade and not lose all of it. I like that, so you can start out with the smaller crap and then go from there. Also, even if this is the fucking tutorial, I want another recycler, so I can just be making all three. Like how you can see the individual progress of the things here. Okay, they make that pretty quickly. And this is where you would set production limits and the like. Yeah, upgrading to a water tower would, from like, especially that thing, from like pit, that, or giant bucket basically, like, and we'll filter that shit. Oh yeah, it also wanted me to make another recycler thing. Refiner. So we got one on cloth, one on plastic, one on metal. And now it wants 5 water carriers. Well, I don't have that many people, damn it.
Our new water tower is up and ready for action. Good work. Filtering the water is an important next step because clean drinking water is a key mainstay of any stable society. Let's begin with filtering our water. To save on charcoal, we ought to ensure that at least a little bit of water not contaminated by radiation is being stored in our water tower. Water gained from a well is never contaminated by radiation, so it suggests itself for that purpose. Then we can use the remaining charcoal to produce better protective clothing.
Okay. So now you want me to make a well. mean, it's still going to go into the water tower. Assumably we'll just kind of plop it there. And now you want me to have a well keeper. And now you want this tailor to make activated carbon masks. And make 2 of them. I mean, I have a bajillion carbon, so we're good on that. We just need more cloth. Someone is being elected to the role of well keeper. It's you, wherever you are. What do you need for these activated carbon masks? Some cloth and some carbon. I feel like it's our... I don't know what else is using cloth. Is it these tools? Nope. I don't know if that wasn't actually set to make cloth yet. I know it was. We have 4.
Good work. We are continuously taking steps towards being better and better equipped to be able to survive in this hostile environment. Filtered water is a precious asset. And later on, we can even...
His little character model has just a slight little up and down movement.
Get ahead of ourselves. Not only our water can become a hazard for our settlers due to radiation, our food can too. We ought to erect a
decontamination post. Okay. Decontamination post we'll put... I'm gonna put right near here. It's very central to the bus. Your job is you are now a decontaminator.
Very good. The decontamination post is going to supply all buildings that stockpile food and are located in its working area in order to purify the food that has been affected by radiation.
Great.
It's true. We should never forget that even when we optimally prepare and protect ourselves, we're still going to...
Alright, Arthur, you're the one who's like 800 years old, dude.
Time and again. We're going to mourn them, come what may. But if we're able to bury them in a cemetery, then we'll get over the pain and let them rest in peace.
Make a cemetery and give someone the profession of post-apocalyptic mortician. Yeah, this one's gonna be like... I'm gonna go build this. You know what? If you live down here, it sucks to be you. If you live up here, it sucks to be you. What's better than the post-apocalypse? Post-apocalypse where your house is abutting a cemetery. Nothing has ever gone wrong there. I was sad about my aunt dying. Let me put dirt on top of her, so now it's fine. We got over it. Damn, I wish I could chop down a tree with one fucking swing. Well, 2. You guys got no wuss. Meanwhile, back in the village, it's just fucking bunch of deer that were like, excuse me, and walk through them instead of being like, pouncing on them. Need some scrap. We have gotten like significantly more settlers while we've been just kind of dicking around here.
Okay. The cemetery will help us to quickly get a hold on ourselves and focus on the tasks that lie ahead. It's not a pleasant thought, but that's the way things are. At the very least, we're pioneers, aren't we? Maybe we ought to distract ourselves to lighten up the mood.
Yeah, totally, man.
We can erect a number of buildings to increase confidence in our settlement, including, for
Ooh,
example,
a pub?
a campfire or a pub. In this situation, however, our best option would probably be to upgrade our town center. Settlers can visit the new town
sick,
center.
we can
By
upgrade
doing
the
so,
bus.
increase their confidence for a while.
Well, I want to upgrade the bus, but he also said something about a pub. A pub produces beer, liquor, or joints that can be consumed by settlers to build their confidence. I see you, game. I see you, game.
Very good. The new town center not only gives us more storage space, at the same time, it functions just like a campfire, too. Settlers can visit the new town center, and by doing so, increase their confidence for a while.
Yeah. 10 to physical health. They can get sick. They'll go to a medical facility. I'm just gonna live up there, I guess. This tutorial's really just walking you through every single fucking building they have. Like, whatever child just hit the age of 18, you're now the doctor for these 42 people. Good luck. It needs metal, of course. We have a lot of extra plastic right now, actually. This is going right into this. Definitely have a bunch of homeless individuals right now. But, they'll deal. Tutorial hasn't told me to fix it. You 3 kids, you're doctors now. It's such an instinct to try and hit, like, when this is up, to try and hit escape, but just brings up this menu every time. Damn. Makes 30 off the bat.
With this step, we have ensured the survival of the settlement for a while. Very good work. Since more and more children are being born these days, we should start to plan for the long term.
Okay.
While cabins are a good way to get settlers to start a family, they only provide limited space. This can quickly lead to people having to live on the street. Allow me to suggest to you that cabins be provided only in a very targeted manner in order to control the population growth of your settlement. Nothing is worse than not having enough resources to provide for everyone. We ought to build a shelter
It's
to be
basically
able to
what he's
provide
getting at.
other inhabitants with a roof over their heads too.
Listen, these shag cabins, Shack cabins are becoming a bit much. We need shelters. Oh wow, shelters are big old hobo camps, huh? We churned out 58 cloth, apparently. Make some radiation suits instead over there. Suppose I'll put one back on plastic. He did. He heard me talking about our recent homelessness problem. So he brought in 10 more people.
Remember that when children grow up, they're going to leave their parents' house and look around for a new place to live. It might happen that they don't find any home at all. We ought to build a shelter to be able to provide all inhabitants with a roof over their heads.
Okay.
I've already pointed out to you that it could become very dangerous if we were to run out of food at some
Hello, hello, Bobby Callahan.
Since a lot of people are going to be living in the new shelter, we ought to
build a hunting lodge. I mean, goddamn, they really could have just mentioned that, like, hey, you can also do a hunting lodge and stuff. Like, if it walks you through every fucking building, it'd be a little disappointing. It's like, at least let me pre-build things in that case, Jesus. So they must go and now find us wild boar meat and venison. What is the difference of hunting and capturing? No, they weren't doing it because they're at production limit. Like, I'm pretty fine there, tutorial. I don't need more food.
Perfect. The hunting lodge equally provides us directly with food, but it functions somewhat irregularly because it relies on wildlife in the surrounding area. Nevertheless, it can be indispensable during a drought, because even the deer and wild boar still roam around the forest.
Ah yes, where the deer and wild boar roam.
However, wild animals can not only be shot, they can be captured too. When a wild animal has been captured, it can be brought to a pasture and served there.
Good God. So the game's got a real in-depth tutorial in case anyone was worried. So we got all the metal. Let's take some scrap. We got a pasture. I mean, when it says like as livestock, what are we planning on capturing here? That's my question. So it's a pasture of wild boar now? Reset your hunting lodge to the capture option, but I put on capture and hunt. They did fine. Tended to and cared for by herders. Some animals produce resources such as milk or eggs. Other animals can only be slaughtered to eat. You ought to find out yourself which type of animal brings you which benefit. Blah blah blah. You must provide water for your animals you keep on your pasture. This enables them to survive and reproduce. When enough animals are fully grown, the herder will start to slaughter them. If you don't want animals to be slaughtered, you can also instruct the herder not to do so.
Now your herders know how they ought to handle the animals. And now that you've already captured several animals, don't forget to instruct your hunters to hunt animals again in the future so that they can continue to gather and provide food. With our increased production, our stockpile is going to run out soon. The supply routes for our production buildings are getting longer and longer too. To tackle these problems, you ought to build a temporary storeroom and have roads laid out.
Jesus, it's making me do this during the fucking tutorial. Okay. Well, I guess if you go through this, no one can really say they don't know how to play because it kind of beats it into you. Sure. We'll throw a temporary storeroom up there. At least dirt roads don't cost anything. Nothing says your layout is ass like seeing a whole bunch of little yellow dots around it. That'll keep the builders busy for a bit.
Good. Temporary storerooms increase your settlement's general storage capacity. Place them in a targeted manner in order to shorten the routes for goods between your production buildings. Roads are equally a great benefit because settlers moving on roads can go distinctly faster than on a normal
Distinctly
supporting surface.
faster, huh?
To improve the whole thing even further, we can build a market to improve logistics at the settlement. Besides being an enormous stockpile for resources that is even able to store water, the market is responsible for distributing resources within your settlement. What's more, it also increases...
Oh boy, weren't kidding when they said massive, huh? Alright, now here's a question. How do I... A. Remove road. Look at him go. Well, that's a nice little happy accident that fits there. I don't have people working at the recycler. somebody die and not tell me? I need more wood. That sounded like a moo that they just turned into a techno song opener. Right? Yeah, I definitely do not disagree with that. That this does seem very much like you could make it with Banish and with mods. I don't know. There's a whole defense and raider aspect in that kind of thing.
Logisticians are able to amass resources from the whole settlement and bring them to the market. This improves the flow of your products and leads to your settlers having to walk shorter distances to fulfill their individual needs. The combination of these attributes makes the market the ideal building when you want to enlarge or even relocate your settlement.
Good to know.
The larger your settlement gets, the farther some settlers have to travel to get to all of the food you produce.
Build a food station. Well, I mean, assumedly I'd want to have one of these down here next to all these cabins. These people have got a sweet gig. Food station right outside their door. Oh, you're right. It's probably more of a goat bleat. Also, lots of symbols.
With the new food station, your settlers are now able to supply themselves with food directly on site. If your settlement is supposed to grow even further, you can think about whether you want to provide additional food stations. Distributing food at your settlement is going to prove to be extremely practical. However, your settlers not only need food to survive, they need water too.
I knew they were going to walk us through every last bit of this. Logistician.
Now that your settlers also have a water point available, they can supply themselves with water and food. Similar to how it's done at the food stations, this enables you to precisely control at which places your settlers are able to attend to their needs. Since we have our logistics under control, now we can concern ourselves with the weather and its challenges. We can build a weather station to enable us to make a forecast regarding upcoming weather and learn if potentially contaminated rain might be coming our way. It can also be used to prepare our crops and rainwater collectors we might have against contaminated rain by covering them.
Wow, that's fucking huge. Okay. Well, that lives over here now. Wow, we've already used 16 graves. Excuse me? 17 while I'm looking at it? Alright, we're gonna need graveyard number 2 pretty soon. I think they took some of their musical inspiration from Zomboid here. Blah! There's 3 people that living in this entire shelter. I saw the icons, I was like, what? And I was like, oh, it's because they're decontaminators. Liam and Valeria. Decontamination's probably not a very healthy profession.
We know what sort of weather awaits us, and how we can protect ourselves against contaminated rain by covering our crops in rainwater collectors. We ought to attend to collecting the rain we want. Rain not only humidifies the soil, it can also be automatically collected via rainwater collectors to generate a steady flow of additional water. Since we've already built our weather station, we're able to decide what kind of circumstances would make us want to cover our rain collectors.
Devs. If you're listening, I know you're not, but if you have ever happened to scroll by this video, we fucking get it. If you buy a game like this, it's because you fucking like city building games. You can say, look at all these other options we have for dealing with water. Don't make us build every single fucking building in the tutorial. Leave something to be discovered as you're playing and you problem solve. I mean, goddamn. We're an hour and a half in, the tutorial shows no signs of stopping. Until we get through literally every one of these buildings. They're going to have us do electricity, set up defenses. Probably. And I know I'm choosing to do it, but like, goddamn, devs. Have some respect for your players' intelligence.
Our settlers might get sick if we distribute water contaminated with radiation at our settlement, even if they're wearing protective clothing. We should make sure that the collected water is as purified.
Like you talked about this with this.
We can have our crops covered to shield our seedlings against radiation. But once they've been covered, naturally they won't be irrigated with rain anymore. To rectify this problem, we can build an irrigation plant that is able to artificially regulate soil humidification.
Irrigation plant. Probably underwater? Yeah. Well, we'll make some crops and shit down here. Why not? Bunch of plastic, but fortunately, yeah, fortunately we have 9. Hopefully it's because a lot of it's in use. Okay, yeah, it reserves it right away. That's nice at least.
Fabulous. As long as our irrigation plant is supplied with filtered water, it is able to neutralize a possible contamination of the soil due to radiation. But watch out. When water contaminated with radiation is fed into the system, this can lead to precisely the opposite. And the irrigation plant itself may possibly cause radioactive pollution of its surrounding area.
I do like the fact that it's now very like lush and green right around this.
Rain, there are other environmental hazards, such as sandstorms or droughts. The soil dries out during a drought, and sandstorms sweep across the landscape from time to time. These sandstorms can damage your buildings and ultimately make them unfit for use. We ought to prepare for this and assign several more builders to enable potential damage to be repaired.
Just fucking tell me that sandstorms have come and that builders can fix it.
Builders ought to give priority to at our town center. You can instruct them to merely repair buildings, to erect new buildings, or to do both at the same time. This enables you to react quickly. Now that we've...
Next hours will be focused on its overall productivity. Research station should research technology and blah 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 electronics. Real tired of you, Arthur. Technology, I'm assuming. I do like that the drought, like, straight up dries up the lake, too. Pretty much everything except this one little patch of irrigation. That's pretty fun, though. Well, that's the sandstorm. Sure hope everyone's wearing their protective masks. This thing just kind of... This is a cool sight, though. On the mini-map, there's just a giant bright red line that goes across it. So as everyone can see, this game is really stunningly detailed graphics. Really just clear sight lines of everything. The contrast in the art is great. It's actually a really cool effect, though. Be like the worst to have to go through. It's still over here fucking shit up. Alright, what do you want me to do here? You wanted me to make one of these. So this just gets us knowledge. Oh, open research window. Alright, so there is a pretty decent amount here. Mining tunnels. Cake. Well, there's the end game goal right there. Learn how to make cake in the apocalypse. Cake and stew. Of course, of course. Right now, in order to please our slave driver, we have to research electronics. What, Chewbacca? Basically, these guys need to research it, and then we can start refining things into it. It requires 1 knowledge, but a bunch of wood and scrap. Oh shit, we have like no scrap. That's our problem right there. Right now it's Schrodinger's cake. I haven't researched it, so I don't know if it's a lie or not. Couple more. Literally one more. Oh, okay, so now it starts going. Jeez, that's not quick. Yeah, so soil moisture. Interesting. You'd think it'd be right around the lake, but I guess it changes over time. This is lovely radiation pulsing in and out. There's also this shit just right on top of my village. Of course, despite all this, they don't give me the option to dig it up yet. Electronics has been researched and is now available. Just to make myself happy, I'm gonna work on researching cake. And now recycler has to make electronics.
Very good. With this new research station and the ability to acquire electronics from scrap, we can provide our settlement with all the materials we need. The research station is very useful in enabling us to adapt ourselves to our surroundings by using the right technologies in any situation.
Okay, buddy.
Down in the Endzone, we dealt with the concept of a solar collector. This solar collector is able to collect sunlight and convert it into electricity. We wanted to try out whether our idea
Here's the
worked
electricity
and built a
section.
solar collector.
Electricity, yeah. Why not? Lives there now. Bunch of just random panel thingies. Damn, last time I do this, I was like, I'll just play the tutorial offline. It can't be too long. Or I'll just play it on stream. It can't be too long instead of doing it offline. It's because it seems like you can't really fail too much right now. It's wood, scrap, metal, and electronics. And we have a bunch of all those.
The solar collector produces energy by capturing sunlight and feeding this energy into a grid. The solar collector also gives us all the relevant information we need to keep an eye on our settlement's power consumption.
Got it.
Each of your buildings automatically hook up to this power grid when you set up an electric power pole within the building's range. Buildings supplied with electricity work
distinctly more
and
effectively.
produce faster as a result. What's more, housing supplied with electricity increases the confidence of the settlers who use it.
Understood. So we do electricity and power poles. How far can I make the power pole? Not as far as I want. Oh, you can get real goofy with the grid, though. That's nice. Oh, yeah. Just some scenic power grid action everywhere. It's immediately going to shit its pants because I don't have enough electricity, I bet. That's basically everything. What do these take? Watch them be like actual materials. Yep, wood, scrap, metal, and electronics. Cool. I have enough actually, though. I just need more builders. No loitering! That's what we've developed. Hemp weaving mill sounds a little bit more useful. Just wants me to connect a few more up and another sandstorm. Everyone good? Yeah, I don't really have any rain collectors, so I suppose it doesn't really... Oh, I guess I do have this. Because I was looking at down here where it says, like, the contaminated rain, and, like, in general, I think you probably just cancel it? Is what they mean by cover it? Oh yeah, it just plops the top on. Alright, that makes sense. One dumb little field here. What is still not connected to the... Connect buildings to the power grid, it says. 2 out of 5 currently. Wait, that's it? Apparently it didn't like my wiring hack job here. Oh yeah, it was very bad. It's true. Factory builders is just the next evolution of the city builder. Oh, it's because at night, obviously, it doesn't get energy. Will someone make this fucking pole already?
Fantastic. I can only picture how our ancestors must have felt with their almost infinite supply of energy. However, you ought to constantly keep an eye on your power consumption to avoid outages.
Okay.
Logically, the solar collector is only able to produce energy during the daytime. It would be beneficial if we could also make electricity available at night so that our settlement remains effective. It's clear that we currently work slower at night, so let's try to store the surplus energy we produce.
Yeah. Well ahead of you, bud. Build a battery. Sure, if we cancel construction on one, we'll have enough for both. Only when I skip through it, I'm like, yeah, I fucking know what you're gonna say there, Arthur.
That looks good. Some buildings are now connected to the power grid. Although a well-structured settlement that's hooked up to the power grid consumes a certain amount of resources, it is enormously effective. Oh, and just as an aside, you can have electric power poles put up on many surfaces.
That's good to know, because I would have just put it following the roads, but I was trying to dance around them.
Producing on a stable scale, we can now focus on exploring our surroundings. Though we heard a bunch of stories in the Endzone, now we can explore
Expedition
the ruins
Station.
our ancestors left behind firsthand.
Expedition Station. Over next to the weather, sure. Build me first. Starting to get to me too, with how haphazard a lot of this shit is thrown down. So I was assuming the tutorial would be like, alright, you got enough to get on your way. So go figure out the rest, champ. But it has not quite been like that. Scrap metal and plastic, we should have enough. I'll also be doing a lot more than one thing at a time. So now we need to make scouts and store expedition rations. Now, how does one get expedition rations? It's time for that kitchen I made, maybe? Stupid ass power poles that I shouldn't have put down randomly. That'll work. It's just a little irradiated where the kitchen is going, but it's totally fine. We're going to take care of it. Now everybody go dig up that gross dirt.
Well done. Assign settlers
Apparently it had
to
nothing to do with
scouts
the kitchen.
and prepare expedition rations. When you want to send off an expedition, you can decide the quantity of expedition rations with which to supply the expedition. As a result, you can control how long and how thoroughly it is able to explore a ruin.
Okay.
Let's send out a few scouts to find a ruin. The scout will visit the ruin you have designated and explore it. As a result, the scout will supply us with important information about the site that we should pay attention to when we start an expedition.
Understood, Arthur. Oh, interesting. I'm just gonna go with the closest here. And then we'll go with another one that's to the north. Esteban. What do you find with your binoculars, Esteban?
Our scout has returned and brought along a variety of useful information. Now that we know what we have to reckon with, we can put together a team.
It did not give me a choose a name for the tutorial. But I'm open to suggestions.
Secrets, and valuable resources. Choose settlers who fulfill the necessary prerequisites for the respective ruin, and give them enough expedition rations to take along. In addition, don't forget to equip them with protective clothing and tools to...
Let's do it. It's a gas station. It's got 4 cloth, 12 joints, 6 mushrooms, and a metal tool. We're gonna send Sylvia. I mean, these people look like they have full radiation suits, so that's why they're going. Sylvia, Julio, and Jack. Get going.
Now that you've commissioned the expedition, it's now in preparation stage. Expedition rations and other necessary resources are being amassed. Afterwards, the settlers you selected will relinquish their old tasks, assemble, equip themselves, and subsequently set off together on their way.
Get yourself ready to make tough decisions is always a great sentence.
Your expedition has finally reached its destination. Now it's all up to you. Contact them and listen to what they have to say to you. Make wise decisions.
Make good
and
choices.
guide the settlers through the ruin with meticulous care.
Okay. Ruin has arrived. Open expedition window. No. It says your expedition has arrived at its destination. Lead your expedition. I'm unsure how you want me to do that. Let's see. Because it has gas station ruin. Gives me open the expedition window. I have the option to cancel, which I don't want to do. That's a scouting mission. Maybe it's back at this guy. No, you're a liar. It's just we haven't actually arrived at the destination yet. It's gathering up. Okay, game. Now they're off. Have fun storming the gas station. So you just beat on it? This is how we explore? Instruct. What do I want them to take? Well, take all of those joints. And then the cloth and some mushrooms and the everything. Like... yeah, we're only at 5% capacity.
Well done. Your decisions during an expedition are decisive for its success.
We have to investigate if we can just punch the shit out of this gas station.
And make wise decisions, because the consequences could be fatal. Now let's loot this place and get out of here.
Understood.
Now that you know how you can help your settlers...
highlighted, or settlers.
So hostile to life, I'd like to show you how you can design your settlement in such a way so that your settlers are not only able to survive in it, they're actually glad to be here as well. Your settlers are eager to live in surroundings.
Now let me show you how to do a good job when it comes to making a settlement.
Produces lots of noise or dirty grind.
Yeah, you can switch the heat map of dwellings attractiveness to be able to see just how attractive the dwellings in your settlement are. Open the attractiveness heat map. Wow, what a trash can settlement you've made.
Which cabins and shelters have been placed in attractive surroundings, and which ones are in unattractive surroundings.
Make your settlers happy. Increase the attractiveness of a residential area. You can put up some decorations to beautify your settlement. Each decoration increases the attractiveness of the area where it has been placed. Maybe it's time for you to design your settlement a little more attractively to make your settlers happier. You know what, Arthur? I don't see you doing anything here. Alright, well, I do want to make a scrap totem, because that sounds awesome. Oh shit, yeah. Fire-breathing scrap totem, that's going in. Y'all down here get some creepy wind chimes. Flag. Some flower beds. I want those street lamps. Yeah, of course, we can just have some random torches. Ah, creepy wind chimes. Perfect.
Your settlers are
Everybody likes the fuck shacks.
Decorations. This way, you can even manage to design a residential area attractively that's located near industrial buildings. And with sufficient time and energy, even create a settlement where all your settlers are glad to live in it.
Fucking thanks, Arthur.
Although living in a pretty neighborhood isn't the only thing.
Yeah, it didn't feel right putting torches in on like the wooden shanty town.
As well. If you provide them with a forum, they'll make their wishes and requests known to you. You can find out what means a lot to them there.
Okay. Assume that means build a forum. Okay. Down to the beach. That's where we do our yelling. Let's see, even just looking at these. So it's had us do everything here except for the electric water pump. It has to do everything here except for the kitchen. It has to do everything in here except for fucking mine. Did everything there. Still doesn't let us build a fucking pub. Logistics, we haven't done a trading post yet. Technology, we've done everything. Electricity, good enough. Decorations. Also haven't done any of this defense stuff. But they have to unlock all of these through research. What do we need here? More wood? We definitely have it. Oh cool, it's contaminated. Yay!
Excellent. Many of your settlers' requests are collected for you at the forum. You ought to check every now and then whether you might be willing to agree to one of those wishes.
Great.
However, the forum is not only responsible for enabling your settlers to turn to you. At the forum, you can address them too. You can issue decrees and establish rules at the forum, stating how your settlers need to behave. This way, for example, you can ration food and water, or go so far as to prohibit your settlers from reproducing in the near
So when we say we're in charge of this place, we are really in charge of this place, huh? We can banish the elderly. We can banish children. There's food rationing, water rationing. We can search for other survivors. But I suppose we're supposed to enact birth control. But also search for other survivors because we hear about mixed messages.
Many of the decrees are extremely helpful toward enabling the survival of your settlement, though you should watch out that you don't demand too much of your settlers. If you ask too much of them, it can lead to discontentment spreading throughout your settlement. That's why you always ought to use caution in deciding which decrees you want to impose.
Understood. You just made me tell people not to have kids. Thanks.
Although such a thriving settlement like this one here not only has its advantages, it could be that the attention of prowling raiders is drawn to you, and you'll have to defend yourself against them. First of all, it's going to be important to set up your own defenses. An ammunition factory is going to be necessary to arm those settlers who will be defending your settlement in the future. It would be best if you also assigned several technicians right away who are supposed to work at the ammunition factory.
Of course, it's like, oh, you're not even going to make me have to... Alright. If you don't want to make me have to research it, I am fine with that, bud. Let's build guns. Making metal as quick as we can. We also need more scrap and we need more... Yeah, we're gonna need... So we gotta turn our tailor back on. It's gonna make us rad suits again. More foresters, because we're almost out of wood. More bringing stuff around. People keep dying. More technicians to make bullets. Still got like 7. Sure, we'll cap out the medics. More people moving things around. More scouts. And this last guy, well, I don't know. You get to fish. No, you get to collect scrap. That's what you get to do. So it also gives us the option to design a refinery can sort out scrap on the long scale. They want to settle. So it looks like we can kind of take different missions here at the same time. Interesting. Sure. Oh, wow, you care way more about these, huh? It's a good thing I have a billion. So they gave us 9 hemp, 4 radiation suits, and 3 electronics. Okay, so it's kind of constantly generating quests and that kind of thing. Sure. And it shows up as side tasks. Wow, these people have really, really expensive tastes. Produce 21 radiation suits, 21 metal tools, and 1,400 food, and then they'll join us. Okay. This ammo factory's just waiting on metal. Just like, maybe pause that for a second while we get this built.
Very good. It's left up to you to decide whether you want to have your ammunition factory manufacture lethal or non-lethal ammunition. While lethal ammunition deals damage to the attacking raiders, non-lethal ammunition ensures that their morale sinks. If the raiders
we're
have
going
lost
with
all their
lethal
morale,
ammo.
they'll flee. No matter what type of ammunition you want to have manufactured, one thing can't be missing. Your ammunition factory requires some sulfur for production.
Yep. Build a mine now. Jeez, this has to be built into one of these, I'm assuming. Yep. Gotta build it into some mountain rocks. Actually, we probably want to just cancel this and do it down here. It's closer. Aren't you happy you came of age? You work in the mines now. Pay no attention to the sandstorm. It'll be just fine. Suppose also I could, like... Does that not count? It's not a big enough hill for you? You sure? I mean, if you're sure... Nah, motherfucker. This is your route to work. Go mine me sulfur in the mines, I guess. We have no scrap right now. That would explain why. There's nothing for them to harvest. Oh, Jesus, not gonna need to do anything for a while if I send them there. Be nice if, like, given how many things the game's like, hey, about, they just kind of tell you about that one. Alright, starting to get scrap again. Which means this has enough. Mine sulfur, and he'll probably, hopefully, shut up finally.
Very good, old friend. Now the production of ammunition can get going full steam ahead.
Great.
To be able to give your settlement blanket protection against attackers, the next thing you want to do is to build several watchtowers and assign militia there. Your settlers will fire at raiders from these watchtowers. It will be best if you place your towers in such a way that they don't stand too close to each other, so that your entire settlement can be protected whenever possible.
Okay. Oh boy. Probably gonna need a bunch of these, apparently. I wish you gave me a readout of where these all are. Work down in the mines, I'm sorry. Couple inside just for added safety maneuvers. God, what do these even cost to build? Oh, a whole bunch of scrap and metal each, huh? Someone definitely said something about... Yeah, a lot of refinery stuff. Thank you, please. So that's my mission completing, which is why I just built this other shelter. Which is already maxed out, Jesus Christ, okay. You all get to live right around the graveyard, so you know what you did. You have no wood, basically. Well, scrap and wood, basically, because it's all spoken for from the towers. Little scrapyard that could over here. You each get some food, I guess. Those are all just random settlers that don't have professions, because, like, Jesus Christ, there's a lot of them. Fortunately, you can always kind of just throw down these gather wood and gather scrap things, and anyone who's not assigned something is going to jump on them. So that will hopefully just send some randos over to do it. How many graves can I... Okay. Only 4, because I remember that was getting full at one point.
We're at the location now. Like that scout said, a dilapidated storage depot. At least we should be able to get a little scrap out of this place. But who knows? Maybe we'll get lucky today.
So there's the old shipping container the scout mentioned. Locked up and we didn't bring any tools, but it's old and rusty, so maybe we can just force it open. Yeah. Cool. You failed. Now you've done it. Oh, 22 cloth ain't bad, though. Ah, the other thing is junk. Hey, 6 metal, 6 wood, 5 plastic, and 6 scrap. I don't hate it. Safe trip home. So that definitely is an interesting aspect where there's kind of these different areas that you can send expeditions to. Should probably assign some militia folk. I have the feeling it's going to be like, alright, now watch. This is what happens when raiders spawn. Watch out for your watchtowers. I'm going to have, like, these, and they're just going to come from this direction, and I'm going to get obliterated. Be great. And people are at least trying to do that.
Very good. These watchtowers form the center of your defense. At each watchtower, you can individually configure the type of ammunition the militia who have been assigned there are supposed to fire at the raiders.
Okay.
As you can see, the raider force is now on its way here. Pay attention to the direction they're coming from. You might have enough time to adapt your defense a bit. I'm going to keep my head down for the time being, until those scoundrels don't bother the settlement anymore. Good luck.
You've said my people are hopeless cases. We were once.
I fucking knew it.
One and all. Together we are strong. Give us what we need, then no one will get hurt.
That is not a small amount of raiders. Okay, well this one's done. That one's done. That one's done. Well, that's good. Okay, okay. Okay, that's a little better. I don't want to run through some radiation on your way or anything like that. Also, when it comes to breaking morale, yeah, I feel like actual bullets also would have quite a strong effect on morale, but that's just me. Alright, come on, you nerds. They also brought guns. Of course, this happens in the most wooded forests. I'm so glad we can see exactly what's going on here. Oh, they don't give a shit. They're just walking right past, huh? Build me first. Oh, yay. That guy stayed there long enough.
And the settlement's still standing. Well, it did get a few scratches here and there, but nothing we couldn't recover from.
We'll rise again, over and over again, and that's a promise.
Cool. Little damaged building. Shot 57 bullets, and we got a lot of boar meat and plums and mushrooms off of them. We killed 4 of them.
However, in many cases, the raiders won't be paying you a visit just like that, without any advance warning and a reason. Most of the time, they'll demand tribute from you beforehand. If you can pay this tribute, they'll leave you in peace. That is, at least for a certain period of time.
Why would I do this, Arthur?
I want you to pay the tribute the raiders are demanding from you, so that we can focus on rebuilding here at the settlement.
Fine.
Very good. By doing so, you bought us a little time to be able to prepare.
I don't feel good about it, Arthur.
I think the time has come at last for me to bow out as mentor. I've taught you everything I know, and you've proven yourself by keeping us healthy and in good spirits. I may have taken care of heading our last days in the Endzone, but now all my faith lies with you. I believe that you are going to lead us to a glorious future.
Understood, Arthur. Well, considering it's 11:02 and this tutorial's been 2 hours long, we will mess about with a few other things here. Now all of a sudden the game's like, oh yeah, you can make these things. So I've been trying to make this pub the whole damn time. Yeah, right next to the forum. Yeah, look, I know we're big on the watchtowers, but we're going to make this pub because we need to make some hard liquor and joints. Yeah, so overall I would say this game is pretty interesting. It definitely has quite a wind-up with the tutorial we'll go with. But I can definitely see it being a little more interesting when you can kind of do it in a metered way on your own pace. I don't know if I'd... It's hard for me to say the words I don't recommend playing the tutorial if you're going to go to play it. But if you kind of have a knack for city building games and in general, you kind of know what you're doing or you've played similar games, I might recommend skipping this, or you can watch me die a little inside every time you add a new mission, and then pretty much from there, it would honestly be a little more fun to kind of systematically figure it out just from sandbox mode. So we'll take a quick look at what the scenarios and options are, most definitely before we call it an eve. In fact, we'll do that after we make this pub. Man, they hammer that shit real fast, though. I just enjoy that hard liquor, joints, and beer. Those are our options for creation here. Alright. The tutorial. Good enough. So the survival mode, which is just kind of set up exactly what you want. The scenarios, we have the bet. Let yourself get talked into a daring wager with Arthur Sauchin, your old friend and mentor. In the course of a cozy evening at the local pub, you've betted on who can... You've bet? You've betted? I think you've bet on who can get their hands on the most species of plants in the form of seeds from unexplored ruins. The next day, the two of you set off to start up new outposts, each with a troop of settlers and some supplies. The race begins. Bleak times. A settlement on the brink of destruction. Your mission will be to give the people hope again and stand by their side during reconstruction to keep them from going under. The long summer. In the scenario called The Long Summer, heat is your greatest enemy. While radiation and other dangers lurk in the background, merciless periods of drought lay ahead of you that steadily get longer over time as the cooldown phases in between get shorter and shorter. Garden of Eden. In an environment so hostile to life, it's your responsibility to not only make sure that your settlers survive, but to equally ensure that they are happy in their new home. It's your mandate to show one and all that the new beginning of civilization is going to be a magnificent endeavor. Build a settlement in which each and every settler who has come from one of the Endzones would be glad to live. A New Hope, Episode 1. Together with several like-minded souls, you set off into the world to create a new homeland for yourselves. For you, there's no doubt that strong population growth is the key to long-term success of your settlement. Hunters and the Hunted. Regular assaults by raiders have hit the people in the region hard. Deprived of their livelihoods, they're searching for a new homeland. You have the mission to build a shelter at an abandoned outpost that withstands the upcoming attacks. Upon your arrival, you find nothing more than a few rusty watchtowers. A slick-talking trader implies that your intention hasn't remained a secret to the raiders. Can you provide the people seeking help with a new homeland and defend them against all attacks? Desert Flower. As the leader of an expedition, you establish a new settlement in a region where there are nearly no water resources anymore. Surrounded by nothing other than dried up earth and radiation, it's up to you to create a flourishing town in this extremely hostile area. But luckily, an old friend is accompanying you on this journey into the unknown. God, it better not be Arthur. Rainy season. You've just begun to establish a new settlement when the meteorologist in your group points out particularly menacing weather conditions to you that call for preparations to be made quickly. Shared suffering. As inhabitant of a flourishing colony, you are chosen to start up another settlement in the immediate vicinity as an outpost. Having just arrived at the destination, you have unloaded your supplies and begun setting things up when horrible news reaches you. A terrible disease has broken out in your home colony and already claimed numerous lives. The colony threatens to crumble apart because there are no longer enough healthy inhabitants able to provide for a sufficient supply of food and water. You must act quickly and obtain large quantities of water and food in order to save the colony along with your remaining friends and relatives from certain death. And Rome wasn't built in a day. Ever since they left the Endzones, the people have been wandering around restlessly. Settlements are founded, towns fall into decline, and the inhabitants move on. But you have bigger things in mind. You want to create a city that stands the test of time, that becomes the new established center of the world. So the scenarios themselves are pretty cool in that it looks like, I'll just fire one up. It looks like it definitely gives different objectives and different kind of points and flavor to playing the game. Like one, you have to focus on getting a lot of expeditions. One's about churning out as much food and water as possible. One's about very deserty conditions, all that kind of stuff.
Ah, wonderful! Just look at the land around here. How often have we dreamed of being able to live in such a beautiful place? Hurry, let's not waste time. We'll make sure that our dream comes true.
Oh, you probably shouldn't have hired me.
The most important resource in this world is not wood, food, or even water. It's the human being. We can't ever forget that. And since this resource is our most valuable asset, we ought to take care of having as many of them as possible.
Alright, so now that we finished the tutorial, we can start the stream, right? Yep, right? Totally? Yeah. 2-hour tutorial on this game is quite a bit, in my humble opinion. But yeah, overall thoughts. I think that it has a lot going for it in terms of just the way the game works, how it plays, really most things. Like as far as city builders go, it's kind of right in the wheelhouse of what you would want. I definitely think the game just came out. There are some things that can definitely be improved or fixed and all that kind of thing. And just some things that can be streamlined. Yeah, welcome back. After that brief pause, now we can play, right? Yeah. But there's definitely a bunch of things about it that could be improved, could be better, but also a bunch of things that are really good. I like the way the resource trees work. The research itself seems like it's just kind of for upgrades that could be a little more interesting. But it definitely looks like a fun game to burn away some time with, and just kind of, once you kind of figure out the optimization puzzle, it might not be one that you keep playing a lot. That's kind of what happened with some similar games like Banished and a few other things, is that once you kind of hit the point where you sort of get it and you kind of optimize it, eventually it's just, you can sit there and you'll leave for work, come back, and 8 hours later your thing has just been churning away, and all that's happened is you have 100 more people. So yeah, overall, I definitely am gonna play a bit more of this one when I don't have to go through the bit-by-bit tutorial and that kind of thing. And it definitely looks like it could be a pretty solid base builder. It has come out in full release. It's not an early access game currently, so this is sort of at least the base that you'll be able to get, but I'm sure they'll do some kind of content upgrades and the like from there. So we are going to call it an evening. It is a little short, but such is life. Because honestly, jumping into another run of this, we would basically get, about 15-20 minutes in, and then we'd stop anyways. So yeah, we saw a good size slice in that the tutorial literally walked us through everything there possibly was. That's probably my biggest gripe, is that there's a lot of learning in the tutorial that you could have done and then referred back to, or at least let the player infer it. Like, you can tell us about the weather station, how it can tell you if it's gonna create, it lets you know if there's gonna be contaminated rain or not. You don't need to hammer in 50 different ways that, like, hey, you should pay attention to that, you should cover things, your crops, like, let the player figure out a little bit of it. Otherwise, you kind of handing the entire game on a platter, and you take away a little bit of the exploration and, learning from experience that you get. But overall, I think it's great. I think it's a fun little base building game, and it works exactly for what what you see is what you get. So yeah, this week, D-Pad has a lot going on. Tomorrow is going to be Mr. Rick. Wednesday we'll be back with Brother Quest. Thursday back to Rick. There will not be a Sunday stream this weekend because there will be instead the marathon stream, 24-hour for the D-Pad 10th anniversary. We'll have such familiar D-Pad faces as my brother Jeff and Papa Rick, and also I'll be there for once. So, they're both very confused at the fact that it's the first time I've ever actually been to the D-Pad, but so it goes. Anywho, with that, we're going to call it an evening. Thank you all very much for coming. Next week for us, we are going to be checking out probably something a little faster paced. I'm still putting it together. It might have another multiplayer friendly or two. So we will kind of keep that slightly under wraps. If you want to know more, you can always check out on the Discord. I post there all the time when I'm bored at work, and you should too. That being said, if you have not already, remember you can find all of our D-Pad videos on the YouTube. There are thousands of them if you ever need anything to watch for the next 7-8 years. And I hope everyone has a good rest of your night.